title, The Resonance Rebellion, a chronicle of Emberfall and the Scorch-Scale Siege in the kaleidoscopic realm of Icarus, where planets drift like dandelion seeds on solar winds and comets scribble secrets across the void. The floating archipelago of Crystallon hovered defiantly. Its people, the Luminethra, were beings of living light. Their skin shimmered like oil on water, and their voices hummed with the harmonic dissonance of 1,000 tuning forks. For eons they had cultivated Embervane quartz, gemstones that glowed like molten amber and pulsed with the rhythm of a heartbeat, fueling their skyborn citadels and healing their iridescent crop fields. But Crystallon's radiance had long been leached by the Scorch-Scale Syndicate, a conglomerate of cybernetic serpents from the smog-choked world of Pyrothrax, whose greed burned hotter than their plasma-forged furnaces. The Scorch-Scales arrived centuries earlier under the banner of cosmic enlightenment, their dreadnoughts shaped like ironclad pangolins, their rhetoric dripping with false benevolence. They seized the Embervane repositories, claiming the gems were too volatile for Luminethran stewardship. In truth, the Syndicate hoarded the stones to fuel their war foundries and sold slivers to opulent star empires at prices that could bankrupt small moons. Luminethra elders murmured of an era before chains, when their ancestors had woven light into bridges between stars. But the Scorch-Scales rewrote history, flooding galaxies with holographic reels that depicted the Luminethra as feral spark wielders, unfit to govern their own skies. Then arose Ignis Sulflare, a philosopher general whose body flickered with scars like cracks in a desert floor. He united the Shatterborn Collective, Luminethran farmers, engineers, and astral cartographers to reclaim their birthright. The Radiant Reckoning began in shadow. Embervane vaults were stormed not with blades, but with sonic keys deciphered from forgotten dirges. Quartz veins were redistributed to hinterlands the Scorch-Scales had left ashen, their energy reviving wilted lumen vines and shattered schools. When the Syndicate demanded reparations, Ignis pulsed a message across the astral web: you cannot tax a people for breathing their own air. The Scorch-Scale retribution was immediate. Overlord Malgrave Ashspire, his obsidian scales etched with runes of subjugation, imposed the Fadewall Edicts, a blockade that severed Crystallon from hyperlane commerce and scrambled their resonance signals. For galactic safety, he hissed to the Celestium Conclave, holograms flashing staged footage of Luminethran marauders plundering Syndicate depots. The edict strangled Crystallon's economy. Medical levitation pads dissolved into dust, children's bioluminescence faded to a sickly twilight, and Embervane skiffs froze mid-orbit. Yet Syndicate corsairs slithered through the blockade's cracks, siphoning quartz from Crystallon's mines and selling it back as refined fuel at a 500% markup. Ignis refused to kneel. In clandestine labs hidden beneath forests of prismablooms, Luminethran alchemists labored to forge prismacin shards, synthetic crystals that mimicked Embervane's resonance without Scorch-Scale tech. Agrarian mystics, using ancestral vibration chants, coaxed blighted soil into yielding solar root tubers, whose flesh glowed like fireflies trapped in yams. But Syndicate sentinel serpents, drones shaped like skeletal rattlesnakes, stalked them, venomous data streams corrupting progress. One dusk, a young engineer named Lyra Emberlynx watched as serpents reduced her village's prismacin forge to slag. Instead of despair, she grafted a serpent's fang into a makeshift broadcaster, hijacking Syndicate channels to air uncensored Luminethran lullabies. The Scorch-Scales retaliated with algorithmic slander. Crystallon destabilizes the cosmic equilibrium, blared Syndicate-sanctioned news feeds, while Ashspire's emissaries strong-armed neutral systems into exiling Luminethran delegates. Yet embers of dissent smoldered. The Obsidian Driftwalkers, nomadic asteroid herders from the void wheat fields, defied the edicts, trading stealth skiffs shaped like giant scarab beetles for Embervane farming rights. "We know what it is to have your bones mined for profit," said Driftwalker Chieftain Kale Ironroot, his body a patchwork of meteorite ore and scar tissue. Together they wove a shadow network, smuggling Prismacin schematics and starflax seeds past scorch-scale sentries. As Crystallon's heartlight began to steady, Ashspire massed warships at the edge of the Void Wheat, their hulls plated with stolen Embervein armor. Ignis, now gaunt as a winter branch but unyielding, stood before the Shatterborn. "They believe light cannot bleed," he intoned, his voice crackling like a dying campfire. "But light transmutes." Engineers jury-rigged Prismacin into aurora projectors, while farmers braided lumen vines into nets that hummed like high-voltage power lines. When the Scorch-scale armada descended, Crystallon's defenses erupted not with missiles, but with a coruscating glare that short-circuited warship AI, leaving crews dazed as tourists in a hall of mirrors. The clash unfolded in eerie quiet, a ballet of photons and shadows streamed galaxy-wide by Lyra's pirated feed. Celestium citizens gaped as Luminethran elders, their glow reduced to faint embers, locked arms with driftwalkers, chanting a frequency that split syndicate hulls like overripe melons. Ashspire, cornered in his command spire, spat, "Principles won't fill your granaries." Yet, as the transmission spread, riots erupted on Pyrothrax itself. Scorch-scale underlings, their labor valued less than coolant fluid, began dismantling Edict enforcers. In the aftermath, the Celestium Conclave grudgingly granted Crystallon provisional sovereignty, though the Fadewall's shadow lingered like a permanent eclipse. Ignis, ever the pragmatist, turned to the Driftwalkers and other pariah systems. "We will grow a new constellation," he vowed, one unbound by Scorch-scale ledgers. Prismacin vessels now glide toward uncharted nebulae, while Lyra's Truthwave network beams unfiltered Luminethran sagas into the dark. Yet the Syndicate adapts. Ashspire's heirs lobby the Conclave to outlaw Prismacin as hazardous contraband, while Scorch-scale cartels replicate synthetic Embervein in labs, slapping counterfeit patents on stolen ingenuity. Crystallon's struggle persists, but in the flicker of their reclaimed quartz, a truth ignites. Exploitation, no matter how vast, cannot extinguish a people's right to kindle their own dawn.